This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only and contains jokes, satire, and language that may not be suitable for all audiences. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of any employers or sponsors. The stories we share are our version of events. If you believe a story we share is about you and you remember it differently, please, by all means, go start your own podcast and tell your truth. Hello, and welcome to Gold Star Horrors, where gold stars are earned and not given. I am your host, Lisa Wilson.
And I'm your co-host, Lisa Smith.
All right. So we are really excited to come back and talk to you guys this week about a couple of very cool things that Lisa and I are really passionate about, which is how to help people. But before we get into the regular meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, I want to cover our special section. That's not what I meant by what I said last week. So first, I want to tell you guys that we released episode 2, and I want to apologize for shouting at all of you at the onset of the episode. I was in my car and it almost blew out my eardrums. I don't know why I was yelling, but I was just so excited that it got a little crazy. So I'm sorry about that. And the second thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I give credit to all the quiet gold star whores out there. Just because you don't charge into every room like a bowl in a china shop, or make every single thing about you and you being present in the space, and you don't like that kind of attention, it doesn't mean you're not effective, and it doesn't mean you're not an amazing leader. It just means you're different and you're special in your own way, and I wanted to acknowledge that. I have a couple of very solid, quiet leaders that are gold star whores as well. They're just not going on and on about it all the time. So there's power in every dynamic, and there is something special about all of us out there in the way that we do things. And speaking of which, the whole portion of our story where we get to talk about what we did this week that we think we earned a gold star for. So Lisa, what did you earn a gold star for this week?
Well, I actually was feeling quite proud of myself the other day. I was like, I've made dinner like 3 times this week.
That's
Like,
amazing.
I can't tell you the last time that has happened. I mean, we've been working late nights
Yeah.
and working through some kinks and just taking on some additional responsibilities. And with that comes like, a different process for your evening routine. And so my evening routine has been kind of like thrown in the air. Well, after I was thinking, I'm like, gosh, if I could get out of the grocery store anymore without spending like $200-300,
Mm-hmm.
and then not make any dinner that week, and then still like DoorDash or something, it's the struggle sometimes is real. I love to cook. So, gold star for me that I actually stopped, did what I love to do, and fed my child this week. So that is great.
I want to tell you, Lisa, that I'm going to give a gold star to all the hustlers out there that are suddenly finding themselves the decision-making decider for dinner and then making it, as well as everything else we do all day long, every day. Like
Yeah.
when I was little, I was never like, oh, I want to make dinner every night when I grow up. Like that was never something that I thought was going to be my role. So I know exactly what you mean by not spending a bunch of money on groceries and then just ordering takeout or going out to dinner. So high
Yeah,
five, you deserve that gold
hey,
star.
thanks. I mean, I honestly was feeling pretty good about myself the other day. So I have to just mention it. I know I'm not alone.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think my gold star this week was that I made an attempt to lift others up any chance I could. So I'll give you an example, because you can imagine I'm a little awkward at it because I'm not used to being nice to people all the time. And
Stop.
I usually am all business. Like if I had a name, like a nickname, it would be strictly business because I don't
Yeah.
get into all the
Okay,
details, as
okay.
you know. So this week I thought, okay, I'm gonna give everyone their flowers this week. right? So
Nice.
I'm on a call and I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I really appreciate all the work that you did on this project. You're really impressive. The work you do matters." And the person's like, "Okay, thank you." It was awkward because I don't normally talk like that, but then I was like, "Okay, well, at least I'm doing it." And then there's a group that when I call them to ask or do anything, they're not always nice. Like they're usually very busy and they're short and snippy. And it's always like my stomach gets a little upset when I have to do any work with them because they're always high drama. But so I called in this one guy that I always talk to. It's always
Yeah.
really nice to me. He is the
Mhm.
exception to the rule. And so I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I really appreciate how nice you were to me. Every time I called, whenever I needed anything, you were always so nice. And I really appreciated that. It really mattered to me. So thank you."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you're welcome." He's like, "Who's not being nice to you?" And this whole it's not about that. I'm
Like
like, everyone.
like
I'm like, it's not about that. I'm like, it's more about the fact
oh,
that,
man.
you made a difference in my life. And I wanted to tell you how
Yeah,
much I
that was nice of
appreciate.
you.
Thanks.
Gold star.
Thanks. Then he calls me back like several hours later, and I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what's going on?" He's like, "Okay, who's not being nice to you?" Like he was really upset about it. And I was like, again, it's not about who's not being nice to me. It's more that you were always nice to me, even though you maybe didn't have time to be nice to me. You were always nice to me and
Yeah.
always super helpful. And it made a difference. So keep doing that for everyone else. So
Yeah.
hopefully that works out
Well,
because
that's great. That is so nice.
it
It's nice to
was
give the gold stars and then receive them at the same time. So,
that's
good job.
right. That's right. So this week's episode I am so excited about. So I
I'm
love taking
excited.
walks down memory lane and I always learn something new especially when I do it with you. Like you have such great insights into things that at the time I didn't see. But so the name of this episode is What's an Old Hoe to Do? Career Pivots After 40. So we were talking
Ah,
to a mentor, Angela McCullough from Unstereotyped, the podcast. And
mhm.
we set up a meeting with her. And just so that you guys know, if you please listen to her podcast, please look her up. She's written books. She is a remarkable talent. And the fact that she was giving us time to answer our questions and talk to us about the design
So
of our
nice.
podcast, I was fangirling so hard. I made Lisa
You
talk to her.
were. You were. I was like, calm down for a second.
I was beside myself. Like it was like a celebrity was like
Yeah.
meeting with us to
She
talk
was
to us
so
about their
great.
and she
So
was so
great.
gracious and just wonderful and was very supportive and gave us some really good things to think about as we were building the format and as we were laying everything
Mhm.
out that we wanted to do and finding our purpose. And one of the things that we were kind of talking about to her was our shared history and how we both had what some would consider a late in life career pivot, right?
Yeah.
So for us, like I want to just explain to you guys what we mean by that. So it's not that like I went from working in this department to that department. It's not like Lisa went from doing this job for this company to that job for this company. We went from like a total career change. So like the best
Yeah.
example I can give you is we went from like corner office using the company jet. We weren't on the company jet. People were meeting us with our names on placards and getting us in private cars and taking us to where we needed to go. To literally, like when I made my career pivot, I was taking the train at 6 a.m. to go to a job that I was so far down the totem pole, I had to look up at the bottom. Like nobody, like true story, my first day on the new job and my new career pivot, they left me at Starbucks for 8 hours. They forgot I was starting and they didn't give me a
Yeah.
number to call to like ask anybody like, "Hey,
It's
I'm
just like
over at
the worst
Starbucks."
first days. Well, I'm sure there's a ton of
I'm
bad
sure
first
there's
day
a lot of
stories,
us out
but
there that have really bad first day stories and we want
yeah.
to hear them. So make sure you send us some
Yes.
messages to our inbox. I'd love to, and I'm going to share all of our new contact information at the end of the podcast. Like it was a real humbling event and I'm going to kind of walk you guys
Yeah.
through the entirety of it so that you can kind of
Mm.
cringe along with me. But it was a very, very big shift. And Lisa is right smack dab in the middle of something very similar to that.
Yeah.
And Angela was great. She was like, that is the story people want to hear right now, because there's so many industries, you guys, that are laying off thousands of people at
Yeah,
one fell swoop. Um,
reorganizations are
yeah.
like the norm right now, and shifting.
And AI,
Yes.
is impacting human resources, marketing, customer
Yes.
service. It's impacting all of these industries, that people have done for generations that are now done by machine. So it's a real weird time to be in the job market. And to Angela's point, I feel like it is a good time to kind of talk about a story of tenacity and resiliency, and that there
Yeah.
is a way out and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And Lisa and I are going to share our tips and things that we think helped. And I'll share with you like how far down it got before it got back up. And then where I'm at now, and like, how 17 years after my pivot, I'm still growing, still evolving, still struggling. This week was one of the worst weeks I've had in years. Lisa, I'm telling Lisa, like, I didn't call her every 5 minutes and complain incessantly about every single thing that was going on.
But,
But I
like,
mean, it's
to
still,
that point though, Lisa, is that, like, you have been through a really, really tough week, and it's maybe not gonna be your last tough week.
no,
And
no.
it's a lot of people are probably feeling that same, you know, that same frustration right now. So, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people
totally.
that came in today and found out it was their last day,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
it's something I want to make sure you guys know, that we are going to talk a lot about it. We're crafting future episodes around how to update your resume and how to job market yourself, and do's and don'ts of all of that, just to kind of address the gaps between what's available and, the age impact of doing all of this when you're older and female versus doing this when you're younger and you kind of can live with your parents, right? And when you're older and you're paying bills, it's a very different vibe, right? So we'll
Very
talk a little
different.
bit about that. All right, I'm ready to get into it.
All right. So, Lisa, let's talk a little bit. Maybe let's get a starting point
Sure.
of, why don't you just kind of take us through your first career, like
Okay.
that time. Give us that timeline, maybe what it looked like,
Yeah.
what you were
Yeah.
doing, some highlights.
Yep. So guys, I was on a full ride theater scholarship to college. And I want to just tell you what that meant was I had to audition for it, I had to win it, and I had to keep it. I mean, I was a gold star whore all the way through. I mean, I could not get enough attention, enough accolades, but it was tough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I was considered an ingenue, so I had to stay a certain weight and I had to look a certain way. And it was very controlling. And I needed some extra money above and beyond. I mean, and just to be clear, if I had not gotten a scholarship, I would not have been able to go to college. So it was a big deal. And I had a friend that was working in the mall, and she always looked so cute and so pretty. And she worked at one of my very favorite retail stores. She's like, "Hey, we're hiring. Do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And again, my workload
sign me up.
for school was insane, right? But
I
this was
bet.
something I needed a break, I think. So, and I was young. I was not even 21 yet. I think I was 18 at the time. And I was like, okay. So I start this job where I'm like a retail salesperson on a sales floor. And I was hooked immediately. Like that whole instant gratification of,
Yes.
so for somebody who loves gold stars, every single sale I had was a gold star. And the fact that I was number one in the store, and that, people were acknowledging my performance. I mean, I was sold on day one.
Yeah.
But look, like, I'm never one to be okay with where I'm at. So I noticed that there were people getting promoted. And I was like, well, how do I get promoted?
I
They're
want to,
like,
yeah,
number one,
totally.
you're 18. And normally, like, people that get these jobs
Mm.
are in their 20s, and you are part time. So this is for our full time people. And I was like, well, I'll go full time. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, then I
D-
heard the magic words of, you would be the youngest key holder we've ever had. And
oh,
I
they
was
got you. They got you.
like, yes. So I literally like did everything I could to campaign for this job, and get this job. And I was telling my family about this job without
Mhm.
telling them that I was going to be full time. So I get the job offer and I call the university and talk to my theater professor and I give up my full ride scholarship because I was going to be loaded making $21,000 a year with
Oh,
benefits.
I
And
love
that
that.
began the beginning of my career escalation in that
Nice.
industry. So I had lots of experiences where it was about really kind of getting to that next level and performing and kind of thinking of creative ways to get things done that nobody else had really thought of. That made me kind of a unicorn in that industry and that most people would give up, right? If they weren't
Mhm.
being successful or there were challenges beyond their control. But I am tenacious, as you know,
Yes, you
and
are.
I am relentless. So if everybody else thought that it was the best we could do, I came up with new and creative ways to get things done, all legal, that other people could not do. So I created training programs. I created product information programs. I created recruiting programs and networking programs to get the best
Yeah.
possible people in the room together so that we could kind of come up with these things. And over the course of 17 years, I moved up and up until before I get there, though, I want to tell you this one quick story.
Okay.
My first store manager job, I could not get a store manager job. Just so you guys know, give you a little insight about retail. The volume of the store is a big deal.
Yeah.
Only the most experienced people get to be store managers of a high volume store. So depending on the mall that you're in is the dollars that they make. Well, I couldn't get into any stores in my area because they were all considered middle to high volume. And they were like, we
Okay.
don't put beginners in those stores. You'd have to move.
Yeah, that is
So
true.
I was like, fine. Well, one of my friends called me and said, hey, I changed companies. I'm over at this company. They have a new store and they are looking for a manager. I just said yes. I didn't care where it was. I didn't care how much I was going to make. I didn't care that I had a boyfriend that was going to have to move with me
Because it
to
was a
this
level
other.
up.
It was a level up. It was about
Okay.
being a co-manager to my first store manager position.
Okay.
So I was in a store that was doing, roughly as the co-manager, roughly $5 million a year.
Okay.
And I go to this store location and I will not say what it was selling, but it was making about 800 grand a year. But it was in a beautiful center, but it was in a
Okay.
city and a culture that I was a fish out of water.
Okay.
And I worked for an owner. So if you
Okay.
don't know, when you work for an owner, it is a different ball game. When you are working directly for an owner, they
Yeah.
expect results, period, the end. And my owner was particularly passionate. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And I mean, he really did want the best, but he was loaded and had lots of famous friends and owned lots of different stores in other cities. And every day he would call me at the close of business because this was like his pet project. And he didn't understand, based on all his research, why the store was earning like $1 a day. That's a true story. It
Okay.
was terrible.
Okay.
I mean, in the industry that I was in, you guys, and this is a true story, I worked between 60 and 70 hours a week. And I would go
Easy.
6 to 7 months with no day off, like none. So it was a very, very hard time for me. It was a hard lesson. And I wasn't listening to the universe, which I'll talk about that a little bit later and how we learn those lessons. But in this particular story, I spent an entire day with a customer only to find out that she ended up talking to her made up husband. She was buying all of this stuff for her husband. You guys, thousands of dollars. Like it would have been like an entire week's worth of sales. And I spent
Oh,
the
I
entire day. Yes. And I'll
story.
tell that story in another episode. And so
That
I
was
spent the entire
beautiful.
day and she turns to someone who's not really there. I was like, do you like all of this? No, you don't like it? And I'm like, who are you talking to? So he calls me that night and I literally start to cry. I'm like, I have done everything I can think to do. He tells me, tell me the story.
Yeah.
So I tell, and I'm trying to like get it together. It was miserable. And I was just like the hyperventilation cry. It was terrible. I just broke,
Mm.
you know. And he's like, well, go home, get some rest, and we'll get him tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And so I go home, I get some rest, and I come in the next day, and there are flowers at the counter for me. And I was like, who's this
Aw.
from? They were from him and a celebrity basketball player. And I will not say
Okay.
who it is.
Okay.
He was a partner of his. And
Mhm.
my phone rings, the store phone. I pick it up, and it's him. And he's like, hey, did you get the flowers? I'm like, how did you get them in here? The door was locked. And he was like, Lisa, we have keys. And I was like, but you're in another city. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, there's somebody here who wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay. It was a professional basketball player. And
Yeah.
he goes in and like big time celebrity and goes into this whole story about overcoming odds. And I'm like, who am I that I'm in this life where I get to talk to somebody who's giving me a personal pep talk
A
that is
personal
a
pet that's awesome.
multi-million-dollar celebrity, right? So I've lived a charmed life. Even in my darkest times in this industry, they were the best of times. So
Yeah.
eventually, I didn't quit. Eventually, I continued to climb the chain until I got to the pinnacle of my career 17 years in. And most of those 10 of those years were with you, Lisa. I had gotten to the point where I couldn't get promoted. Like I couldn't get
Okay.
out of the level that I was in. And again, it's about the universe. Like the universe was trying to tell me that it wasn't what I wanted, even though I kept thinking it was definitely what I wanted. And so I just
Okay.
wasn't listening. I was stubborn and I just kept hitting against the wall, hitting against the wall, hitting against the
Mhm.
wall. And I'll say, don't know that it was my best self. I think I overstayed my welcome for
Okay,
sure.
so did you feel like it was coming to an end? Like, was there a time where you were just like, "Okay, this is it," or
Yeah. Yeah. I had two endings. I had the first
okay.
ending, which was dramatic, and then the second ending, which was like the official
Because you didn't
breakup.
listen the first time.
Because I'm stubborn as hell
Mhm.
and I just wouldn't listen to what the universe was telling me for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a
So
good lesson.
I'll cover like the dramatic one first because
Okay.
to this day, I still just am like, how did I let this happen? So I had a team of people in this high volume, high profile location that was open quite literally almost 24 hours a day. And the pressure was nonstop. And what I mean
Mhm.
by that is we would have buyers and owners and investors just showing up anytime and taking pictures and reporting back on what they saw in your store. So it was just this relentless pressure cooker, right?
Yeah.
It just never ended. And I had the trash panda as our district manager, the one that was quite like, you guys, seriously, no bra, see-through shirt. And I'll tell you,
Yeah.
hey, you want to be sexy at work? I'm all for it. What I mean by the derogatory comment is that I had been pushing and pushing for this job. I had done this job for free for many, many times in between, the district manager
As
role,
an
the leadership
acting,
role
right?
as
So you had
acting
moved into acting roles, yeah.
many, many times over multiple stores. And one time I had done it for a district manager, regional manager character that I knew was faking an injury. And I was doing it anyway. So I was running my business, their business, all like helping everybody in the area. And I was basically berated for not bringing sales documents to their home. So I went to their home and they were supposedly out with a bad back and they were having a pool party where I saw them jump into the pool. And I'm like, I am killing myself, not sleeping, not eating, not going home. And
Yeah.
you're here stealing money from the company. And it just was. And then I go to the airport and we have, another manager that's telling me that my business is so poor, I'm not allowed to take this business trip, that they've decided to send me home so I could focus on my business. And it was one of those things, you guys, that even as a manager, even as a leader, I knew that the deck was stacked against me, right? So all that kind of behavior really impacts you. Whether you think it does or doesn't, it really does. So
Yeah.
here I am already kind of starting to get cynical. And what I mean by that is I'm a very positive person when it comes to performance because I know that I can do it and I can fix it. There's nothing we can't
Yeah.
undo. We talked about that in prior episodes. And I will tell you that for the first time, I just lost my will to do it because I just
Mm.
felt like I was reliving the same day over and over and over again. And it was infecting my personality and everything I was
Yeah.
doing, the way I treated people, the way I talked to my team. So I find out that my district manager is leaving, and I'm like, maybe this will be it. Maybe I'll finally, after all of these years, be given the shot, you know? Well, a minute went by, and in comes the replacement that is literally not wearing a bra, in a see-through shirt and denim hot pants, and has
Short
never
shorts, yeah.
managed a store ever.
Mm.
Like, ever. They've never done any of that. And I'm like, "How?" There's me, and then there's you. Like, and you guys, seriously, like, we would have tough business, and this person would be like, "Well, why don't we do cold calls?" And I'm like, "Is it 1985? Like,
Yeah.
nobody gives us their phone number anymore. Nobody wants to be called at home. Like, that's what you're bringing to the table?" So it
Yeah.
just started this kind of
I mean, why don't you bring
cycle.
your phone book in and
Right.
we'll
Let's go
check
through
it
a
out.
exactly. So
Ugh,
we had
so
this
bad.
turnaround in our business, which was great because we desperately had needed one. And I had
Mhm.
done like this thing where I was like, I can do anything. I'm the best manager in the world. And we started really shifting finally. Not only did we shift, our business went from the worst in the company to top 10 in the company. We were really doing well.
Mhm.
And for this kind of a volume store, that was really unheard of. So
That's
we were
hard.
really, yeah, we were kind of really feeling ourselves. You were part of it. I mean, you had been
Mhm.
just promoted out. My team, because we were really feeling ourselves, started wanting promotions, pay increases. They
Yeah.
wanted to be moved into other stores. And you guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you listen to me when I tell you what you need to do to be successful, most times you're going to be successful. But
Mhm.
if you don't listen to me and you choose to do your own path, you're not going to get what you want, because I know 25 steps ahead of you the horrible things that will happen if we did what you wanted to do. And as much as I
Yeah.
tried to tell them, I had really, again, kind of hit this wall where I didn't have the patience to do it anymore. My heart wasn't in it. And I had started looking for other jobs, which I think is
Oh,
important
you
to kind of
did.
know. So I was like, it's time for me to go. The writing is on the wall. I don't like any of these people. And it doesn't matter that our store is top 10 in the company. I was still wildly unhappy. And I knew that I wasn't going to get anything anywhere else with this brand.
Yeah.
So I had started looking and was interviewing, and I come in to my manager's meeting, our weekly manager's meeting, and they decide to hold an intervention to tell me all the things that I'm doing on a daily and weekly basis that is causing them to be unhappy or not successful. So
So they
just imagine,
orchestrated this
they
behind your
orchestrated it
back.
behind my back. And guess who was at the center of the circle?
No bra?
Trash Panda. Yep. And looking so proud of themselves, like so
Mm.
proud of themselves. And literally, I mean, just imagine for a second what that felt like to someone to sit there and be torn apart by 7 people that you thought you trusted, that you've done nothing but work overtime, nights, weekends, holidays so that they could have those things off. You've given extra time and hours to make sure that their development plans made sense
Mm.
and got them to where they wanted to go. You encouraged them when nobody else did. I mean, all these things that I did, they just forgot about, and it
Yeah.
was brutal. And I will never forget the feeling that I had in my gut that I was like, I'm going to get fired. Like, they're doing this because they want to terminate me, and this will
Mhm.
give them cause to do that.
Yeah.
So, because I'm a badass and I don't take shit from
As you are.
anybody,
Yes.
I called HR. Knowing, and you guys, one of the things, here's a helpful hint. HR does not work for you. HR works for the company.
Right.
So you can never depend on HR to come in and save you. All they care about is making sure that the company isn't put at risk. Right. So that
1,000%.
was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I had always believed what they said, that if you're in trouble or something's happening, call us and we'll help you. So I had called HR, and guess what? They didn't care. So I
Mm-mm.
called my regional manager and I said, this is blah, blah, blah. This is Lisa Wilson. And I'm revoking my membership to the award ceremony for our store being in the top 10. And she
Mhm.
was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not going. You can give that, like, give the ticket and the accolades to the co-manager of this team, and please take her instead because my team
Mhm.
has expressed that they're unhappy with how I've been treating them. And the last thing I want to do is get acknowledged or take recognition for something that my team doesn't believe I deserve.
Okay.
I did exactly what I thought it would. She called Trash Panda and
Yeah.
was like, "What's going on?" So, as I suspected, they had done this without telling anyone what they were doing. And so
Mm.
immediately I had several phone calls leading all the way up to the VP of the company, to which I told each of them, I said, "Here is my plan. I'm going to sit down with each member of my management team. I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to them about what I plan to do to make this better. I am going to write it out. I'm going to track my performance against it, and I'm going to share it with you, with the DM, with all of my levels of leadership, and make sure that you guys understand I take this very seriously, and I will do everything I can to remediate."
But usually HR is involved in those types of conversations because those types of things happen,
I
right?
could have
Like,
sued. I could have sued for
yeah, I
harassment.
mean,
I could have sued for bullying because they had no valid documentation that I had done any of the things they said
well,
I did.
and you have to take the proper steps in taking the right partnership with
Mhm.
your HR team
Yeah.
in order to do stuff like that. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
common sense, but
So, in writing up these 30-day action plans, it basically put myself on a performance evaluation review. It showed them that I was trying to make good so that they wouldn't fire me. Like I knew it was beyond, I knew that I had to get out. So, I had a
okay,
job offer and I took it. And then
good.
I was like, okay, I'm giving my notice and my last day is this day. And although I had another job, you guys,
Mm.
I cannot tell you how bad this breakup was. Like,
Mhm.
it rocked my whole world. So I'm gonna give you guys a snapshot. This is back when I drank. I'm sober. I don't drink. I'm an alcoholic, but and this probably worked on me becoming one. But at the time I was not sober. And for the first time in 17 years, I didn't have anything to do. And I wasn't
Yeah.
starting my new job. I was smart enough to acknowledge to myself that I was grieving and probably should not be talking to people while I was
That's actually good.
kind of going through this, and I called the one thing I did that I regret a little bit was I left a voicemail for the team that, "Hey, you guys, I just want to let you know I really appreciate, all of your work and everything that you've done in making this store successful. And I hope that every single one of you gets exactly what you've earned and good luck." And then it was like, because they've earned nothing. So
Right.
I was literally would start drinking at like 10 in the morning
Mm.
and drank all day. Couldn't sleep because I was just and my husband was traveling at the time, so I was alone in my house and lived out in the middle of nowhere, and I had never watched Dawson's Creek. And I
Okay.
got really into Dawson's Creek, like really into it. Like I'm watching it, I'm like, "Jed's pregnant." I'm just like, "Stop!" Like you guys, when I tell you I was a mess, it was
Those are dark
bad.
times.
It was
Dark
dark
times.
times. It was like I was literally going through a divorce that I didn't want and was thrust upon me. So I was so bad that my mom called my husband and said, "If you're leaving again next week, you're taking her with you. Like I'm worried about her well-being and she needs supervisions." And I'm so sad. You guys, I'm just sad, sad. Like I am broken, completely broken. I'm not myself.
Well, and
I'm
we didn't talk about mental health back
no.
then. We
No, we didn't.
didn't.
No, it was suck it
Mm-mm.
up. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And what are you crying about? You have another job. What do you care? And
Yeah.
it was just the
It was
humiliation
personal. It
factor
was
and the
personal.
humiliation factor that really haunted me. And there's a retribution story. We'll get to that, I promise. So we're at Colonial Williamsburg, and which if you've never been, it's lovely. I recommend it.
I've never been.
It's awesome. But I was so distracted. It was like I was a shell of my former self, and it was raining. So my husband put one of those rain rompers on me. I hadn't showered or gotten ready. Like I just was like out of bed, stomping around Colonial Williamsburg, like wearing my rain thing and I'm sitting there waiting to go into one of the
Mm.
houses that you can tour from colonial times. And
Yeah.
this lovely couple is in front of us and they're chatting away with my husband. And I'm just sitting there like on a lump, like just waiting, just not paying attention at all. And they're like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my sister. She's deaf."
No, he did not.
He sure did.
No, he did
I was
not.
like, it made me feel much better because I start like laughing for the first time, like in a really long time. But then I started this
Oh.
other job, and I'm gonna call it like a rebound job.
And how long between the job we just talked about
Yeah,
and your trip and then starting your new job? How
a
long
month.
in between? A month?
It
So
was a
you took
month.
a month off in
Yep.
between. Okay.
And it was a good thing I did because it was real bad the first few weeks. And one of the things
Mm.
that I realized, and this is was like one of those pivotal moments in my life, was that I didn't have any friends outside of work.
Mm.
I didn't
Mhm.
have a single person to call
Mhm.
when this all happened. And it
Mhm.
was one of those things because we'd had kind of our falling out.
Yeah.
And you guys, when you are someplace you're not supposed to be, and I said when I meant when it infects you, it infects everything you do. So if I
Yeah.
had any friends outside of work, they stopped calling me a long time ago
Dude,
because I
I've
was
been
every time I
there.
talked to them, I was negative, I was dark, I was everything wasn't going my way. And it was just, it becomes all consuming.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not, Lisa's been there, I've been there,
No, and
and
I
I know
am
some.
so sorry for all the people that had to be on the other end.
I mean, so it was like they
Ay.
just stopped answering when I would call because they either knew I was hammered and crying, or I just was so full of venom and spite that they didn't want to talk to me. So
Yeah.
that's what staying in the wrong place does. It corrupts you and it makes you less than you are. So
Wholeheartedly.
knowing that I had no friends to talk to about this other than my mom and my poor husband, who was like he came home from his trip and I was watching Moulin Rouge the first week. I had never seen that movie. Okay, look, you guys, I'm sobbing watching Moulin Rouge. He literally walks in and is like, I'll be in the bedroom. Like, he didn't want anything to do with it. So I was like, this is such a great movie. And she's got tuberculosis. And it was, I bought the soundtrack. Like, it was real dark, you guys.
Whoa, dark times.
It was, it was real dark. Wait, what happened? Why did the story stop? Just kidding. Hey everyone, it's Lisa Wilson, and we are trying to keep our episodes closer to an hour. Since we all know I am a yapper, we are going to conclude part A of What's an Old Hoe to Do? Career Pivots After 40. Lisa W. story right here. Please stay tuned next week for the second part of my story. Hey, hoes, we really appreciate you listening today. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please remember to like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you listen to us. If you want more nonstop shenanigans, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, GSW_podcast. Follow us on Instagram at gold_star_whores. Or if you want to send us a story or ask for advice from a couple of seasoned Gold Star whores, you can email us at gsw4life5472@gmail.com. We'd also like to give Rob a special thank you for all your help with editing and helping us to create our logo. You really are an amazing Gold Star whore.